All right, folks, welcome back to another PCSO podcast where we talk about Pinal County and we talk about law enforcement in Pinal County. I'm excited today because we have some really good guests. First of all, to my left here, we've got Deputy McElwain, who needs no introduction. If you watch Live PD, you know exactly who he is. So we're glad to have him on here today.
Thank you.
And he's going to be my co-host today.
Right on.
So you guys are in for a real treat. And then one of our guests is David Ellis.
Yep.
So
Yep.
thanks for coming in here today.
My pleasure.
The reason we're doing this podcast, we do one every week, but this month we want to talk about DUI awareness. We're getting into December, and most of us do a DUI task force the whole month of December, and we really try to hit home on some of the statistics and some of the dangers of DUI, driving while intoxicated, not only alcohol, but drugs as well. So just to give you a little idea of how serious of an issue this is, from 2011 to 2018, there was 6,986 fatalities in Arizona. That is a staggering amount. I mean, that's coming out to more than, close to 1,000 fatalities a year. So we want to talk about this today, and hopefully somebody out there is listening and will get an Uber or do whatever it takes to avoid getting a DUI or even worse, potentially taking somebody's life or their own. So, David, I'm going to start with you first Tell us who you are, tell the listeners who you are, and
Okay.
why, and maybe just touch real quick on why you're our guest.
Well, who I am, I'm a native. I've lived here my whole life. I'm an alcoholic. Been drinking probably since I was 16, 17 years old. Probably been drinking and driving since then as well. I'm a 3-time DUI offender. It's only by the grace of God or by somebody like this gentleman sitting next to me who intervened that I haven't killed somebody, that I haven't added to those statistics. I was gravel drunk. Wake up every day, drink, go to work. Thought it was a normal routine. Been in the bar business my whole life. Everybody I knew around me, country club wise, that's what you did. I mean, Bloody Marys in the morning, drink all day. As long as you had a JOB and paid those bills, you were okay. And
I gotta tip my hat to you because it takes a lot of guts to be able to come on here and just say, "This is who I am. This is what I've done," and I love that you're doing it because I think people need to hear it.
Well, you got to pay it forward. I got lucky. There's no way to shake it. Got lucky. I didn't kill somebody. Got lucky that I didn't get a year stretch. Got lucky that I got pulled over by somebody that actually treated my dumb ass with kindness, despite the stupidity that I displayed, despite the rude and blatant disrespectful things that I said.
And for those of you listening, and for who was it that pulled you over?
Officer McElwain.
Deputy McElwain.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, Deputy McElwain is one of he's very active and takes DUIs very serious. How many DUIs investigations did you do last year?
Last year, I think it came out to about 202 DUIs last year.
I'm telling you, from a law enforcement standpoint, any of you in law enforcement understand how many that is. I mean, that's darn near. That's a half a DUI a day.
Yeah.
So that's impressive. So
Thank you.
Good work. So yes, okay. So take us to this. When was it that you got stopped for the DUI?
I got my DUI.
I guess which one?
Yeah. Well, my first one was I was probably like 23-ish. Had every excuse to be out partying. My uncle died that day. Used every excuse. You know what I mean? The excuses. It's an excuse. That's all it is. Was in a rental truck of all things. Made it a pretty good ways, and I got pulled over because my lights weren't on. And let's just say my temper got the best of me. So I earned that one. My second, I was leaving work. Again, like I said, I'm an alcoholic, so drinking and hanging out at work was no big deal. But that particular situation, I was a .04. So that one I was like, I want to say 27-ish, 28-ish. So I was right on the cusp of like when the law, you know what I mean, the 7 years or whatever, I think is when I was. So they charged me for a second offense on that one. Lawyered up, got out of that one to impaired to the slightest, but carried all the penalties of a regular traditional DUI. This one, man, I put in some work that day. Got up about 8 o'clock, had to get to work. Picked up a pint right here at Circle K or at Gansel's. Shout out to Gansel's. Picked up a pint of 100 proof vodka, drank that on the way to work. Probably drank another half pint while I was working. Got off around 3. Went across the street to the Circle K from my job. Picked up a pint. Killed that by like Warner and Greenfieldish, wherever that Circle K right there is. Picked up another pint. Almost killed that. Played poker for some friends. It was for their kids' baseball team, whatever. Yeah, way to represent for the kids. Completely schmammered. Drank, the whole time I was playing cards. Made it from Val Vista and Warner at that Western Skies golf course.
Yeah.
All the way until I ran into this guy over here on Ironwood, Nocateo. I made it. I was almost home.
And before we get in further into the story, so they say that one of the old adages I've heard is for every person who's caught on DUI, they've driven at least, I think it's 7 or 11 times without having gotten caught.
Well, I've heard that as well. But in rehab, when you get around the real pros, it's about 100.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
I've been drinking and driving since I was 16 years old. I've had 3 DUIs. You do the math, and I promise you, I've drank.
How many accidents? Any accidents?
Oh, I've wrecked every vehicle I've ever driven. It's like I said. I mean, it's only by the grace of God that I've never killed anybody. I mean, the only people that have ever been hurt by my stupidity are myself. I mean, I've been a brand new or fully restored '66 Mustang into a U. Thought I would have learned then. And
I had a friend in high school who had drank, and it had to have been one of his first few times drinking, if not his first, and got into an accident. There was a fatality. Spent 10 years in prison.
Oh yeah, that's like, I mean, I think about it, and I mean, I've always kind of prided myself on being a halfway decent guy, and trying to be as respectful as I could. You know what I mean? Try to leave the world a better place, kind of person. And to think that I made it from Val Vista and Warner to Ironwood, Nocateo, I was a .38 by the time y'all got to me.
Yeah.
Most people aren't even standing at a .38.
Now,
I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
And how was it? So when you stopped him, did you recognize it immediately, or was he? Because obviously it's vodka. Is probably your. Sounds like it's your.
Oh yeah, that was my.
That's not that easy to smell.
No.
I mean, it's just.
Well, the unique thing about this is, first off, I think for cops at least, the men and women who do this job, it's a special profession that takes a special person to do it. And when it comes to proactive things, it's like God puts us in a place at a time to intervene in such circumstances like we had.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So this incident was a team effort, actually. An off-duty deputy is what called me and brought it to my attention initially. And then from there, I located him, and it was a unique experience for the both of us from there on for that next hour and a half or 2 hours.
And again, I am very, very sorry. I am very, very sorry.
And
how was his behavior?
Erratic, eccentric,
yeah.
Inappropriate.
Yes.
And we laugh about it now, but honestly, we want people to know that this is a serious issue. I mean, we're laughing because how often do you have the guy who was driving, the deputy who got the DUI, being able to sit down and have a conversation like this? It just doesn't happen as often.
No, and there was another deputy involved also. So it was basically almost three deputies. One that was off duty, 2 were on, that handled this situation. And it's what brings pride to me is that this job, and what we try to show other people, is this job is about being objective. It's not being subjective. His comments, his behavior, we don't take it personal. Our job is to make sure the public's safe, and that ultimately even the offender's life is changed and they're safe. And obviously that happened on this incident.
And I cannot ever apologize enough.
Do you feel like that experience has changed you somewhat?
To be honest, yes. If I would have been treated like an actual, I mean, granted, I broke the law, but I wasn't treated like a criminal. I was still treated like a person, despite my behavior, despite my blatant disrespect for another human being, despite my vulgar and completely inappropriate comments, complete lack of representation of who I am as a person. Yeah, I know people that would not have been the bigger man,
Mhm.
and 100% would have had every right to bounce my head right off of that car and be like, nope, he fell. This body cam is turned off. This dude fell. Look how wasted he is. He tripped.
And I think it's shown, even we have some incidences on Live PD where we've gotten combative or verbally combative individuals, and showing that at the end of the day, we're going to treat you like a human being. And you know, we all have our poisons in life. Mine may not be yours, but I have my own that I deal with, and it's just treating you like a human being from start to the end. I think that's what it's about.
You know, and I've done a lot of DUI investigations, and people are very different emotionally. Like some people are angry, some people it hits them and they're in their backseat crying because their life is over. And one thing I've always told them is don't let this define you negatively. I mean, if it sounds like you've let it define you in a positive way.
Well, because I mean, I wouldn't have gotten sober. I mean, and I needed
And how long have you been sober?
I've been. What is today? The
November 11th or 19th.
19th. So almost a year and 6 months. Almost.
Wow! Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that's admirable.
Yeah, no, it's
From going from 16 years old to how old are you now?
40.
So
Yeah.
20 plus years of being an alcoholic
Oh,
and
drinking.
being
Yeah,
able to stop.
yeah.
Good job, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is what it is on that issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it was time, and like I've told other people, I'm from here. I'm a native. Right. The fact that I have to think that I was that selfish and could have killed somebody I know, and not like we know each other. You know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, we've met before, or somebody that I know as a customer. I mean, actually know.
Yeah.
I mean, know their parents, know their grandparents, know their kids, know their aunts, uncles. I could have ruined somebody I know's life.
Well, and like we said, from 2011 to
Yeah.
2018, almost 7,000 families
Yeah.
have been affected by
And that's
losing somebody to a DUI.
yeah, and that's the one thing that I hope people get from this. I mean, there's so many excuses of why you gotta jump in your ride. So many excuses. I mean, and that's all they are, excuses.
Yeah.
Especially with technology now. You made mention of Uber. I run a bar. I mean, call an Uber, call a Lyft, call a friend, call anybody. Jimmy will get to soccer practice. I promise. Nobody's gonna steal your car in my parking lot. Nobody. I mean, technology is there. There's too many viable options than to put somebody else's life in your hands, making horrible decisions.
Yeah. And there's that part, which obviously is the most, the most egregious part of a DUI is maybe somebody potentially losing their life. But when you get arrested for DUI, it's expensive.
Oh,
It's a lot of people lose their jobs.
well, I mean, I can attest to that. I mean, I had two $75,000 jobs lined up, and that's not a little bit of money. I mean, it's not great money. It's not, oh, I'm going to retirement.
That's a good
That's a
income.
good damn living.
Yeah.
That's life. I mean, single dude, that's life changing money.
Yeah.
Living one of the places was a resort in New Mexico. I mean, dream jobs for me in my profession. Dream jobs. I had to turn them down because I had to do jail time.
Yeah.
And I had to tell
You lose
people.
your license.
Oh yeah, couldn't get from Ironwood, Nocatee to where I needed to get to. Would have had to move. Would have had to sell my house.
Yeah.
I mean, it just all over one stupid decision, one irrational decision.
So you started at 16 years old.
Oh yeah,
If
I've been
there's
drinking.
younger kids listening today or parents who have teenagers, give us some advice.
Don't let what you did become what you do. Don't. You know what I mean? Don't make it a habit. Don't. I mean, peer pressure, whatever. I've never been one to believe in that because I think everybody makes their own decisions. But don't succumb to the fact that this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Do not make the decision. It's cool to be part of the party. It's cool, but it's addictive. Alcohol and drugs. I mean, they're fun. They're great times. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to tell you I haven't had some blasts, being wasted and haven't. But it can bite you in the ass. It definitely can.
What about parents listening? Are
Parents,
there things that they can watch
pay
for in
attention to
their
your
kid?
kids. Pay attention to their behavior patterns. Pay attention to the people that they hang out with. It's the little things. I mean, I'm from the generation where it took a village. I mean, our parents' friends knew what we were doing. That we were involved. Be involved in your kids' lives. Pay attention to who they're hanging out with. Pay attention to what they're doing. It's out there. It's so readily accessible. One of the things that I don't think people talk about enough is, there's marijuana out there. There's these other things. Cards are becoming an acceptable part of life. Your parents use weed, edibles. Pay attention,
Right.
because you're still impaired. Trust me, I've been there. I've been smoking dope since I was a little kid. I get it, but you're gonna hurt somebody. It's a bad way to live. You kill your brain cells. You don't ever grow up. Like, wait, and don't rush growing up.
You're living proof of the change that you're speaking of, because the day that we met at Circle K, cops remember faces, and Sheriff, I know you can contest to that. We remember faces, and when I was filling up at the pump, and all I see is you walking towards me, I'm like, oh crap, here we go. Like I remember what happened that evening. I was like, he is pissed. Here we go. I was ready to get on the radio and be ready to call someone to come over and bring the boys, because I thought it was going to be one of those incidents where you're about to have some retaliation. But the moment those words came out of your mouth that you said that I saved your life, I've probably had 3 or 4 memorable, like I'll remember for the rest of my life type incidents in my career, and that's one of them.
Well, trust me, I'm going to remember our experience for the rest of my life.
See, and I love hearing that, man. I love it. I think that's great that.
Like I said, I owe you one, man.
I think it shows that you can find positive in every situation. I mean, as ugly as, and I'm sure it was a difficult path that you had to go through, but you looked at the positive side of it, and it changed your life. He goes out, it gives him the opportunity, because we go through a lot of stuff as a cop every day where you're like, why do I even do this job? Like,
no,
I could go out and make a lot more money.
Yeah.
I could do so much more. But then when we have those experiences, like where you come up to him and tell him that, I mean, it's life changing for both of you.
Yeah.
Well, again, I can't. I mean, it saved my life. You either look at it one of 2 ways. Either this is going to be the worst thing that ever happened to me, and I'm going to harbor resentment, and oh God, the man was doing his job. He was doing his job, and the job that he did changed my life and made my life better. So why can't I be thankful? Why shouldn't you be thankful about that?
And what I love about you is you've owned up to everything. In this society, we have a lot of people that all constantly want to blame somebody else. Oh, it's his fault for this or that. You said something very key. We all make our own decisions. We're responsible for our own decisions. Yeah, there's peer pressure involved, but in the end, you're making the decision. So I love that you're sitting here and you're owning the decisions you've made.
Yeah, that's all you can do. I mean, at the end of the day, I've got to shave my face in the mirror.
Yeah.
And are you proud of who you were or who you are? Or am I proud of what I've done? No, I'm not proud of what I've done. All I can do is get past it and move forward.
So what are your goals now? What's on the horizon for you?
Leave the world a better place than when I found it.
I like that.
Repay somebody, do something kind for somebody else. Be that person that I want to be. Be that help anyway. If this helps somebody, then I did what I was supposed to do.
And I'll tell you what, I'm getting ready. We just had a meeting before this meeting where we're talking about a new program that I'm rolling out here in Pinal County. It's a sheriff's office redirection program. And the goal is to take kids that are either getting in trouble or kids that need some mentorship in their life. And honestly, I would love to have you come out at some point and speak to these kids.
I'd be more than happy to talk to them.
We're going to be kicking it off in January 2019. But I would love to get you and people that share similar experiences. I would honestly love to have both of you in there.
Yeah, I would enjoy it.
And to have the kids be able to talk to both of you to see the different perspectives and how in the end it was a positive experience. Even though that night he could have gone home and likewise he could have harbored some real hard.
Trust me, I thought for sure when I saw him at Circle K I was going to get tased. I was about 90% sure. I'm like, this dude's going to tase.
But I think it's good for kids to hear that. Hopefully the adults that are out there listening realize it's not too late to change. I mean, like you said, it's been a year and 6 months. This is a change you made late in your 30s.
Yeah.
So it's never too late to change.
No, and it never is. If somebody would have stopped, I mean, I probably never would have skipped out on the party, but definitely would have done things a little bit different if people would have been paying attention. And that's the thing is pay attention. Parents pay attention.
Yeah.
Parents, friends pay attention. Teachers pay attention. It takes a village. Like pay attention.
You're right.
This could have. I mean, this. Yeah. It could have. Somebody could have stopped this well before I turned 40.
And it's in. This was the third DUI.
Oh yeah.
So
third.
It took some time to get through. But it got through.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Until you have something that is absolutely the one thing that you think is your. I don't want to lose this. And for me, it was work.
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose my job. That's how I defined myself. So whatever it is that defines you or that you use to define yourself, until that is about to be taken away, sometimes people don't wake up. I just wish I would have woke up a lot earlier.
Good job, Jen.
Yeah, thank you.
And how much time did you spend in my fine establishment down
Well, yes. Thank you for not serving the Ladmo bags.
When people say all the time, they'll say, "Do I get any special treatment? Is this a get out of jail free card?" And I'm like, "No, but I will give you 3 square meals a day."
Yes, you gave me 3 hots in a cot, and the cot wasn't comfortable. Yeah, no.
Well, it's funny because I'll go into the jail and people will say, the food sucks, or the beds are hard, or it's cold at night. And I'm like, this ain't the Hilton.
No, man.
I don't want you to come back.
No, yeah.
I'm not creating a pleasant experience.
No, yeah.
I will treat, and I hope you saw this, that we treat everybody that comes in there. Obviously, I have a responsibility, especially if you haven't been actually found guilty yet. We treat everybody with respect, but I don't want you to come back.
No, you're in jail.
This. Yeah, this is a jail.
Yeah,
so.
You're in jail. Yeah, as soon as those of you that have never been, I don't recommend going unless it's to drop off somebody's money on somebody's books, and then
I hate going to drop people off. I hate going in there.
Exactly.
But
intake.
I was in your fine establishment for 10 days, and then I was on house arrest for 11 or 13, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, my hat goes off to you again for making these changes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Deputy McElwain, any last advice for everybody out there as we get into this holiday season for...
It's not worth it. Drive safe. Call an Uber, call Lyft, call a friend. There's so many opportunities for you to avoid this circumstance, and we're going to be out there. I know Pinal County, the guys who go out there every weekend, they're going to be hitting it hard. And eventually you'll get caught if you don't change your ways.
Yeah. David, any last advice?
I just said, reiterate, call a friend, call an Uber. Being part of the party is one thing, but don't let your good time ruin somebody's life.
And I can tell you, everybody, we want everybody to enjoy a happy holiday season, but we will protect the streets.
Yes.
And if you are caught under the influence of alcohol, and it's not just alcohol anymore. Like I said, 60% of the DUIs we come across now are drug related. So that's Xanax, that's Somas, Percocets, that's marijuana is a big one. So please, folks, enjoy this holiday season. Don't mar it with a DUI or don't put anybody else's life or your life at risk. So thank you both for being here today. I thought this was awesome. And
Thank you.
My pleasure.
This is really a tribute to both of you and for the job that you did and for the changes you made in your life. So God bless everybody. Have a happy holiday season, and we'll see you next week.